great French toast has two important elements to it: the bread and the batter. The batter is just a simple custard: eggs, milk, and then some flavorings. So first I'm gonna measure out my milk. And this is 2 cups of milk. And this makes about enough batter for 1 loaf, depending on how stale your bread is. Now I'm going to crack my eggs, and I'm using 3. I love the flavor of spices, especially in French toast, and whenever I can, I buy them whole. The idea here is that they last a really long time, and the flavor is so much stronger, so you really can't lose. I'm going to start with my nutmeg, and you can see here I have a whole nutmeg. And all you do to break it down, you don't have to crack it or anything like that, you just grate it, just like this. And nutmeg is a very strong flavor, especially when you're using it whole like this. A little goes a long way, so I'm only adding about 1/4 teaspoon, or like a small pinch. And it's the same with cinnamon. I like to buy it whole and grate it fresh. It tastes so good. And the cool thing about using whole spices is they last up to 2 to 3 years. The ground ones, only 6 months, so it's totally worth it. And this, a fine grater, is one of my favorite kitchen tools. I use it for zesting, I use it for this. It's just super useful. I'm gonna give it a quick whisk just to integrate all of the ingredients. And I want it really smooth. It doesn't need to look like scrambled eggs. It needs to be even further along, just an all even color. Well, that looks good. Time to add one of my favorite ingredients, vanilla. And I like to add this at the very end because it'll take a while, but vanilla can curdle raw eggs. So I'm just gonna do it at the very end. Just about a teaspoon of vanilla. You don't need to overpower it. This smells amazing. The combination of vanilla with cinnamon and some nutmeg, so good. And now for my secret weapon, the cornflakes. So I put them in a plastic baggie, and I have my rolling pin, and I'm basically just gonna roll it across, smashing them up until I get the texture I want. Just like this. Well, this looks perfect. I want the flakes to be small enough that they cling to the French toast, but not so small that you lose all that wonderful texture. Well, this is ready to go. For my bread, I'm using a beautiful brioche loaf. I love this because it's an egg bread, so it's really rich. And typically, the more stale the bread, the better the French toast. So this one's been sitting out for quite a while. I love my French toast nice and thick, so I'm giving these about a 1-inch slice. Well, all of my ingredients are ready. I'm gonna start making French toast. I have my assembly line of all of my ingredients ready to go. So I have my bread, my batter, and my cornflakes. So I'm gonna get dipping. So my bread goes straight into the batter, just like this. And I'm going to press it down and let it soak up just like a sponge. I don't wanna over soak it, because then it'll start to break down a little bit. And then straight onto the cornflakes, and I'm gonna press in hard here. Then I'm flipping. Ha, look at that. Amazing texture. I've set my pan over medium heat, and the idea here is I want to cook my French toast really evenly. I want it golden brown on the outside and completely cooked through. And I'm using butter to grease my pan, but you can use anything you like, a plain oil cooking spray. My butter's melted, so it's time to cook. Just straight onto the pan. So my French toast has been cooking, and it's nice and golden brown on the bottom, and it's been cooking through. So I'm gonna flip it. Woohoo! Look at that. So the cornflakes have gotten right into the bread. So now I have this delicious crispy crust. Well, this looks done. So I'm gonna set this aside and get started on my next slice. And remember, this is something where patience is a virtue. You wanna cook it low and slow so it gets perfectly golden brown and cooked all the way through. I can hardly contain myself. This needs some syrup and powdered sugar. And there really isn't a lot of sugar in the actual batter, so I'm not gonna feel too bad about using the syrup. And a little bit of powdered sugar, so it looks like that diner French toast. And now, I'm gonna give it a try. That's really good. The cornflakes just bring a really interesting texture to the French toast that I absolutely love. It's so good with the syrup and the soft, soft bread and then the crunchy exterior. It's a really good combination.